Greetings fellow Guitalalians, Jeff Weinberger coming at you here with a new ukulele tutorial, part 2 of our series on intervals, thirds, sixths, and tenths. Today I'd like to zero in on sixths. Last time we kind of were focused more on thirds, and we did a couple of songs like Brown Eyed Girl, and we looked a little bit at El Paso. Today what I'd like to do is show, Ring of Fire, can't forget that. Today I'd like to show you a couple of sixths licks that are pretty famous. That one was Fortunate Son. You probably all recognize that from Creedence Clearwater Revival back in the 60s, the Vietnam era. That starts right off with sixth, the very beginning of the song, the really signature lick in that song. Here's how you play it. You're using an interval of a major sixth, which in this case is the note B and the note G. Those are a major sixth apart. And what we're going to do is play the B note at the 4th fret of our G string. I'm going to play the G note at the 3rd fret of our high E string. And those are sounded not simultaneous exactly. He doesn't like strum them, he picks them. But you play the lower one, then the higher one. And you slide into the lower one. So we're aiming for the 4th fret, the note B on our G string, 4th fret. But we're approaching it from below. We're going from a whole step below, which is 2 frets, and that would start at your 2nd fret. So you slide your 2nd finger up 2 frets. And it's one of those quick slides. It's not the kind of slide where the first note gets much of a rhythm. It's really going right to the target note. Quick slide, as opposed to an audible slide where you have 2 distinct notes with their own discrete rhythms. That's not what this is about. This is a quick slide. That's what I call it. There might be a more technical term for it somewhere out there, but I call it a quick slide. Slides in music theory terms, they oftentimes are called glissando. In case you see that word glissando, that means a slide. Oftentimes referring to violin, but it can be any instrument that's capable of it. Alright, so getting into it, we did our little opening third, which was the 2nd fret of the G string slid into the 4th fret of the G string. And then you play the 1st string 3rd fret. You want those to sound together though, so once you pick them, hold on to them. And you hear that little 2-note dyad. That's what a 2-note chord is called. It's not really enough notes to make a chord, but a dyad is 2 notes together, or an interval. So then you do the exact same thing, 2 frets lower, the 2nd fret and the 4th fret. We slide from above though. We're sliding from above into, like that. It's a real quick slide, you barely hear it. And then we do the same idea, but now this is going to be on our D and B strings. And it's a different shape. It's the shape of a minor sixth. So what we have here is the 5th fret of your D string and the 5th fret of your B string. Slid into from below. Probably a whole step would be the best place to slide from, but you could get away with a half step. I'm not sure that's what John Fogerty did. I think he went from a whole step. And then finally, you get the same shape back here on the 3rd fret, the D string and B string, 3rd fret. And then what he does is he plays this little single note lick that's not interval so much, but those 2 notes do have an interval between them, a minor 3rd from B flat to G, but that's neither here nor there. Let's learn what those are. 6th fret on your low E string, that's the note B flat. You bend it slightly. I use my pinky. Give it that bluesy 1/4 step or 1/8 step bend. And then just simply play the note G at the 3rd fret on the low E. So here's the whole thing. You probably notice I like to add a little vibrato sometimes, so feel free to get a little shaking going on in there. That's kind of nice to help it sustain and give it some expression. So that's an easy one. That's the shortest and probably easiest of our sixths examples. Let's do one that's slightly longer, slightly more complicated. This is Steve Cropper's intro to the song Soul Man by Sam and Dave, also back in the 60s. So Soul Man goes like this. That repeats, and then he gets into his cool rhythm guitar. He was an and still is an amazing, amazing rhythm guitar player. We're not going to learn the chord part of it so much. Maybe that would be a separate tutorial. But let's just learn that little sixths intro. It's composed of nothing but sixths. Here's what we're doing. We're sliding up to the 7th fret on our G and E strings, our high E. Just like we did for Fortunate Son, more or less. And then you're going to go to the 5th fret. Notice how I'm picking all these separately, but you hear them ring together. You're holding them down. And incidentally, I happen to use my 2nd and 3rd fingers of my left hand to do these, but your results may vary. You could use your 1st and 2nd fingers or your 3rd and 4th fingers. That's up to you. But for me, it feels just more natural to use my 2nd and 3rd, and I do kind of recommend that you use your 2nd and 3rd, unless there's a good reason not to. Now we just take that same shape. We don't really distinguish between major sixths and minor sixths. In this case, we're just using the shape of a major sixth. And so we're going from the 5th fret up to the 10th fret. Go up to the 12th fret, and go up to the 14th fret. So those are parallel sixths. Those are where you don't change from major to minor. You just use one shape, and you do it for the whole time. That's a real different situation than some of the others that we might see, where you have one shape for major, and a different shape for minor. That's sticking with the diatonic harmony. That would be following the key, and whether the chord is major, you do a major sixth. If the chord's minor, you do a minor sixth, etc. Steve Cropper didn't do all of that. He just took that one shape and kept it for all of these. So that's kind of cool. That makes it a lot easier to play. You don't have to compensate for major and minor sixths. You don't have to do any calculations. Just take this one shape and play it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different locations. So again, that was 7th fret, 5th fret, 10th fret, 12th fret, and 14th fret. And these little sixths, they kind of imply chords. They're like little pieces of chords. That last one I'll use as an example. When you slide up to the 14th fret, those two notes are kind of right out of a D7 chord. It's the 5th and the 3rd, two pretty important notes of a D7 chord. So a D7 chord you might know back in your open position, 0, 2, 1, 3. That's what Steve Cropper's implying, except an octave higher. So if I played a D7 way up there, 12, 14, 13, 14, you don't usually play chords quite that high. You could though. That's actually a D7 chord. So by sliding into that 14th fret, you're kind of implying a D7 chord without playing all of its notes. And then the song proceeds in the key of G, using G chords and C chords and D chords and that sort of thing. So that it's in the key of G, that makes sense that he ends on a D7 chord, the 5 chord that resolves to the 1 chord. It kind of sets the tune up. Don't worry if all that music theory talk about resolve and 1 chords and 5 chords. If you're not too up on that, that's okay. We're just here to learn these riffs today and talk about sixths. But music theory is something you acquire in time, slowly. You just learn little pieces of vocabulary and put them together. But eventually, if you feel like you were lost with all that talk about music theory, don't worry. You can just learn the notes and you can have fun with these riffs, and then we'll get more in depth with music theory as we go. Okay, Guitar-Lalians, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope those 2 little licks from classic rock songs were useful to you. And I have lots more. I did want to get into tenths eventually. This is going to be at least a 3-part series. This is part 2. And I don't want to make these too long, so I'll cut it off here with one exception. I did want to, of course, urge you to subscribe to this channel. I really appreciate my subscribers. You guys are awesome. And look for goodies in the future that I'll be offering. I have a goodie I'm going to offer in a minute here. But also, be sure to click like if you like this video. Click the notify bell to be updated when I do come out with a new video. And share this with all your guitar buddies, too. I really appreciate as many eyeballs seeing this as possible. I'm here to help people learn guitar and the more the merrier. The larger of a classroom I have out there, the more entertaining it is for me. I really get revved up about this. But even if I'm just speaking to one of you right now, that's good. I'm willing to teach one person or 1 million. It doesn't matter. Okay, here's the little goodie thing I have in my hands right here. A Shubb Deluxe Capo for steel string guitar. Fits most acoustics and electrics. Stainless steel, made in the USA. It's an S1. It's a fine, fine capo. I just have too many capos. This was gifted to me at some point, and I'm going to gift it to you. So the first person that leaves a comment in the comment section down below for this particular video that answers the question, let's see, it'll be like a little essay question, you know, you just write one paragraph, or you can write as much or as little as you want, but the first person that actually does it and tells me why, let's see, why Julian Lage is such an incredible musician. Your entry, the first person to do that, I will ship this right to you. You'll have to get me your address via email, and really just leave little message, and we'll get in touch. We'll hook up, and I will pay for the shipping to send this to you in the United States. If it's somewhere international, sorry, that would be a little too expensive. But if you are in the continental United States and you would like a free capo with free shipping, this is all yours if you answer the question, why is Julian Lage such an incredible musician? It can be one sentence, 2 sentences, it can be an essay of 20 sentences, that's up to you. And last but not least, if you're looking for the tabs for this video and for the previous video and the other subsequent videos that will be in this series on intervals on the guitar, head on over to my Patreon. I'll link to it right below, and you can get at it and see this inglorious tab and understand everything by seeing it. Alright, get to Lalines. You take care. Bye-bye.